Here's Joe Namath's football card. Millions of kids in the mid-1970s screamed that. The NFL's biggest name and most popular player didn't have any Topps football cards after 1973. As Howard Cosell was fond of saying, "It's preposterous." How could Topps not produce football cards of the most marketable player in the NFL? He was in TV commercials that enticed viewers to buy everything from popcorn poppers to pantyhose and everything in between. As is the case with most company business decisions, it came down to money, or in the case for Namath, the lack thereof. Players negotiated individually for the rights of having their likeness depicted on the football trading cards, and Topps blew it. All football cards shown in this video are custom-made cards and give us a glimpse into what collectors could have potentially missed out on. By 1976, Joe Namath's allotment of injuries were taking its toll. He only started 8 games and wanted to get out of town. Cowboys quarterback Roger Staubach played minimally in 1969 and 1970, but why didn't Topps create a card for the 1963 Heisman Trophy winner out of Navy, who had just completed a 4-year hitch of active duty service, including 1 year in Vietnam? Even Cowboys head coach Tom Landry was disappointed. Art Starr's final season was 1971, and he deserved a 1972 card as a sort of tribute to the MVP of the first 2 Super Bowls, as well as the 1966 NFL regular season MVP. Here's to Bart Starr, a five-time NFL championship game-winning quarterback. Raiders quarterback slash kicker George Blanda was 42 years old in 1969, but he was still playing at a high level. He led the AFL with 45 extra points, and his 105 points scored were the third most. Yet somehow Topps didn't produce a football card for him in 1970. In 1972, Sonny Jurgensen only played in 7 games due to injury, but the Redskins made it to the Super Bowl, and he led them to 3 straight wins. Shame on Topps for omitting him in their 1973 set. In 1973, he played in all 14 games, started 4 of them, and the Redskins won 3 of them while going to the playoffs again. Still, there was no 1974 football card for him. In 1974, he not only played in 14 games again, but he led the NFC in passer rating by a large margin, 9.4 points higher than number 2 finisher James Harris. Topps included him in their 1975 leaders subset, but failed to include a card of him solely dedicated. In 1974, Deacon Jones played in 14 games for the Redskins in his final season. He had 3 sacks and kicked an extra point in Week 14's 42-0 thrashing of the Bears. Topps should have given him a card. Defensive end Jack Youngblood went to Florida and was the Rams' first-round draft pick in 1971 when he played all 14 games. He only registered 3 sacks, and Topps didn't make a card for him. And while I get it, it would have been nice since 1972 was Topps' largest size set to date, 351 cards, and they could have included him somehow. Merlin Olsen not having a card in 1976 is the biggest head-scratcher because he made the Pro Bowl for the 14th straight season. 1975 wasn't even his final season. He started all 14 games in 1976. That's inexcusable. Lynn Swann was a huge part to the success of the 1970s Steelers teams, but evidently he and Topps couldn't come to terms on a monetary agreement after the 1977 football set was released. Kids really got cheated out of potentially some super cool looking cards. Here's some bonus footage of Hall of Fame head coach John Madden, who had 103 regular season wins in 10 years, a remarkable accomplishment. In August 1959, he injured a knee during Eagles training camp and did not play in a professional regular season game. Here's a card anyway, dedicated to the man who gave football fans a lot of thrills and laughs throughout the years. John Havlicek was drafted in the 7th round of the 1962 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns, even though he hadn't played football since high school. He played in one exhibition game and was released on August 22nd. He signed a contract with the Boston Celtics, as he was the 9th overall draft pick in the 1962 NBA Draft. He played 16 years, made the Hall of Fame, and played a major part in 8 NBA championship teams for the Celtics. Browns owner Art Modell offered Havlicek a $40,000 contract in order to give the NFL another try. He wanted for him to play wide receiver. This menacing man is Ed Wahoo McDaniel. Although he played 9 AFL seasons, he's best known as a highly successful professional wrestler who was inducted into the WWE, NWA, as well as other wrestling Hall of Fames. He was a guard for the Oilers who won the first AFL championship game on January 1st, 1961. He was released and signed with the Broncos, who converted him to middle linebacker. In 1964, he was traded to the Jets, and when he made a tackle during a home game, the public address announcer would ask the crowd, "Who made the tackle?" And they would yell, "Wahoo, that's who." He finished his AFL career with the Dolphins after being selected in the 1966 expansion draft. As a kid growing up in the 1970s and being an avid football card collector, it sucked not being able to pull a Joe Namath card out of a pack after 1973. Fortunately, now we can recreate cards that weren't issued back then. Please hit the like button, and as always, thank you for watching.